Okay, so today I have Pam Reich. She is the Learning and Development Consultant in the Global Learning and Skilling Group at Microsoft. Um, Pam and I met a few months into me joining Microsoft. We were co-VPALs at the time, or we were CVPALs. So VPALs were vice president appointed leads for the Give campaign, right? That's what that stood for? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had done it the year before. Um, I volunteered to help this year, and luckily I got paired with you. Um, we don't work together otherwise, but that was a really cool experience, and I was lucky to have. We talked about it afterwards. I don't know how people do that just individually because if I wasn't partnering with you, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much or been able to. We did pretty well that year raising money, so
Yeah, it
that
was
was
really fun. Yeah.
it was a really fun experience. But either way, um, thank you for joining me today. I will turn it over to you. Maybe you could give us just a little bit about your what you do today and introduce yourself.
Yeah, happy to. Well,
Thank you.
first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited about this. Yes, I'm currently a learning consultant. It's kind of an ambiguous term within global learning and skilling at Microsoft. I had previously been on the manager capability team, so building manager capability and kind of skill building for managers specifically. Before that, I was in HRBI, which is kind of our HR business intelligence group, which was focused on employee listening, which sounds a little big brothery, but it's really just listening to the employees to see, like, survey them to see how they're feeling about things. Um, and prior to that, I was in an HR PM role for a couple of different organizations, so kind of what we call in the HR line, kind of just supporting the different organizations within Microsoft. I've been at Microsoft now for 9.5 years. Prior to that, I was a vendor at Microsoft as well in recruiting, so I was kind of in so I've kind of done a tour of HR at Microsoft, if you will. I also had a short time at Zulily, which was a really fun startup experience. But definitely, wear all of the hats when you're at a startup, and just a lot of excitement around kind of a new and exciting company. So, yeah, the last, oh my gosh, I guess 20 years or so, I've been at least around or tangential to Microsoft in some capacity.
That's great. You're actually the first person from Microsoft on this too. So
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
well, thank
yeah.
you.
So
I feel
yeah, you're
honored.
welcome. I'm glad you could be on. Um, so I'm always interested in what actually like lit the spark or sparked the curiosity for people's career. So what originally drew you into the work that you're doing now? Was there like
That
a moment, a person, or
That's a great question. So I actually don't have a learning background, meaning I don't have a traditional learning, education.
hmm
I went to the University of Washington, and I have a degree in biology. So I was like, I love these classes. They're just so great. And did I know what I wanted to do with that? No, I had no idea. They were like, "Oh, you're gonna go to med school? Are you're gonna be a dentist?" And I'm like, I don't think so. And then after school, I was like, well, I have this degree. I just really liked the classes. And I decided to work in a lab for a little while. And I was there for 8.5 months and realized there's not very many people in a laboratory. And I was like, oh, let's just talk to all the people. They're like, we need to like heads down do our work. And I'm like, but we could just like, let's just chat. And so decided that I needed a role that was more people focused. And so that's when I kind of made the jump into being a vendor in the it was called staffing at the time at Microsoft. Got to talk to people all day long, got to interact with candidates and the interview loops and all the people. So kind of that pendulum swung in that big direction of like, oh, people, this is great. And then just kind of went along the journey of being a staffing associate to look at a little different roles as interview scheduling first, and then staffing associate role, which I don't even think maybe exists anymore. Then an HR associate, just kind of flowing through work, I would say. I think for me, a colleague said it really beautifully. She was like, "Oh, it sounds like you just follow the warmth." So That really struck me because I'm like, that's absolutely what I do. Basically, in any opportunity that I have, I try and find little pockets of joy and things that really bring me to life, if you will. So, I think I even have it actually here. I wrote it down so I like remind myself, which is a little
Oh,
a
that's
little
really
warm.
nice.
But I just feel like it's kind of led me to this interesting career path of trying new things and having different experiences, but also now having this kind of broader view of the company and the different roles and connections across the company too. So it's been really cool to kind of have that play a role in how I've navigated my career. I think it's
That
less
is really
about
cool.
like the like, oh, where are you going to be in 5 years? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have like, I want to be a senior director of blah blah blah. I'm like, I want to work with great people. I want to do exciting work. I want to have an impact. I just want to have fun, and like all those things are really important to me. So that's kind of what's
I
led me in my career.
I love that. I think that that's actually very important when you think about what you want to do next, because it's not so much about the title, it's about what you can do in the role. So
Yeah.
I think you articulated that beautifully. I also think too, the second you started talking about that, I I felt so you immediately jumped to like this really nice quote about how your friend said that about you. But my first thought when you started to say about in the lab was, did you ever see the movie Office Space?
Yeah. Yes.
I immediately thought of, I'm a people person, damn it. That's
Yeah.
immediately what I
Exactly.
thought of.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
then, yeah,
I
but that guy
resonate with
didn't do
that.
any work. That guy didn't do any work. And then you're like, I
Yeah.
follow the worms. I'm like, I can't make this joke now, but I have to anyway. So,
Well, I actually
um,
I have another friend who does work in a lab. She's a scientist, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, aren't you just like so lonely in there? There's like no one to talk to." And she's like, "No, I love it. No one's talking at me." And I'm just like, I get to be. So I'm like, "Oh, this is an introvert extrovert thing
yes.
potentially, but just preferences, different preferences of, I just love people too much. I think."
All right. So, okay. So now I'm curious. One of the things that I think that I've learned a lot from people talking to them, like especially on this video series, is it seems like there's no more linear careers.
Mm,
Um, yours clearly isn't.
yeah.
So can you walk us through? So I know that like you touched a little bit on the inspiration and why you've gone to where you've gone, but can you talk a little bit more about the journey itself? Like maybe some pivots, surprises, and one that I think I'm most interested in is any setbacks that kind of
Oh
shaped
yeah.
where you are now.
Yeah.
But
Well,
however you want to answer that.
yeah, I think especially in the beginning of my career. So I actually started at Microsoft in a fairly low level. So an HR associate was like kind of like I would say like bottom rung of the corporate world, and I had to claw my way to try and get any kind of opportunities that were above that level. So I was in kind of the first role, the HR associate role, for just a month or so, and like, thank you Microsoft, they hired an 8-month pregnant lady. So I went on maternity leave shortly after I started. And then when I came back, there had been kind of a big reorganization. I was moved to a different team. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm in this brand new team, which is fine. Like, we're going to figure it out. I had, a 6-month old baby at home and a 4-year-old child, like trying to just like navigate what that looked like. After a year and a half, though, I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm, well established. And then I had several managers at the time. So that was one of my I think hardest parts is having that kind of turnover of management, because especially at Microsoft, it does depend upon your manager if like what kind of career opportunities you have
Sure.
potentially, not
Sure.
always. However, so I had a new manager and I loved her and I was like, oh, this is really great. And then she was like, you know what? There's actually another great opportunity for you over here. And I was like, but wait, I just started with you and you're like, you're great. And we can do great things. And there was like, a promotion on the horizon and I was so excited. And then she's like, oh, but over here. And then so I joined that new team, but great experience, great, visibility, because it was supporting 3 organizations instead of just the one. However, I didn't get the promotion that I was on the horizon. They're like, "Oh, you're new
Sure.
to the role, so you don't need this promotion." And so, I think certain things like that have kind of been frustrating in my journey, especially when you do hop to different roles. You're kind of seen as like the new person, and not necessarily like maybe deserve the kind of recognition that you even the kind of other experience that you bring to the role. So I honestly think that just kind of diving in and asking questions and being open, that's really served me well. I think it can be really uncomfortable to ask questions because it's like, oh, maybe they think that I'm not smart enough or I don't know the
Sure.
things. But having that openness and also setting it up front, like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I like really want to know what's going on and like like what I want to understand the business. I want to understand how to best support the team. Those kinds of things have really helped too. But I do think just kind of as you kind of start out on in a new team, really getting to know them on a personal level has been really helpful. Because I think when you don't necessarily connect with people, then it's really hard to kind of get through that as well, like to get kind of move
Sure.
forward and get integrated into the team fully.
Sure.
I'm not sure
And
if that fully answered your question, but I think,
no, yeah, sure,
yeah,
no, it's helpful. But I like to build on that, and not to
yeah,
get ahead of myself. But the idea behind this is kind of hindsight, right? Like learning
yeah,
from hindsight, and some of those pivots led you to where you are now. And like I
right,
know that we've talked before. Like you're happy with your role now. It's been a cool shift. But so I think, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. But you're happy you made those mini pivots, right? Like it's all still kind of in the same
yeah,
umbrella, but you learned different aspects that I think sometimes you're saying, yes, you kind of, you're looked at as the newer person. It's harder to, but you, it's, I don't know how to articulate it, but you making that move sometimes is a little bit harder to step outside of your comfort zone because you're established in what you're doing now. You're like, if I stay here, I could potentially do this, but if I learn this aspect of it, maybe I'll be more well-rounded for a future role
yeah.
that pops up. So I'm curious, do you feel like you got that from those pivots?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really think I do. For a long time, it was kind of like if I went through one whole year, like ROB cycle, I was like, okay, that's great. Like now I know how to do this ROB cycle. Do I want
sure.
to do the same thing again? It can be either quarterly or yearly or, biannually, right? But do I want to do the same thing again next year? That may be different now that like things and times are going so fast now. So then maybe that
Hmm.
would be different now. But at least when I was back, 9 or so years ago, back kind of in the HR line, I think if I were to stay in that role, it would just be kind of the same thing every single year. Would you have the opportunities to make small changes and like make the process better? Sure. But I do think that being able to move and making the choice to move and lean into the discomfort of new roles, that's really helped me grow as a person, me grow as a learner. I think there's something to when you're too comfortable in a role, how it can sometimes kind of get you a little stagnant. And
Hmm.
so if you look for those opportunities to grow, stretch assignments, things like that, it can really help you kind of get uncomfortable and then get comfortable with that, and then you kind of go. It's kind of like a stretch grow kind of thing.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it
because
I think has made me a better person.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love that quote where it's like growth starts at the edge of your comfort zone because
Yeah.
then your comfort zone starts to expand further, so then you continue to grow. So
Right. Like
I
even
completely agree.
my son is going into fourth grade next year, and he has this
Wow.
little like math game that he was doing, and his level was set at first grade, and he's like, oh yeah, these are really easy, but like they're not challenging. So I set his to the appropriate age, and he was like, oh, like I don't know how to answer this question. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna learn. Okay, let's learn what like the volume of
Yeah.
a liter is. Like it's just really cool to even see that in my kids. Like the like, oh yeah, like this isn't fun because it's not challenging. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Um, okay, so you made a joke about being like what we call employee listening and being big brother. I think you did clarify, but again, just to clarify, it's surveys. It's not truly
Yes,
listening to
yes.
listening
No,
in
there's
on
like
people. It's
it's
listening to
great. It's
people's
like a
perspective. Yeah, it's
annual optional survey
yes,
for the whole
yes,
company.
yes, and
It's
so
also confidential. There's no like even the team doesn't know who answers what, and it rolls up. It's an aggregate. It's great. I really like that team. It actually was nice to be on the team because I was like, we seriously can't see names. Like there's no names. We don't see names. The only time anyone would see a name if there's like a legal implication, and that would be a SELA team and not or sorry, that's a legal team and not. So you know
sure.
what SELA is. Yeah, yeah.
So and I'm curious though. So someone who might not understand what that means. Could you
Yeah.
kind of like explain it from the outside looking in, or well, you from your perspective would be the inside, but
Yeah.
for someone who doesn't, you say that to someone, they have no clue what that means. Could you kind of give a high level explanation?
Yeah. I mean, as to what the survey is.
Well, or just kind of what the group does. So
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like it's very very specific.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the things that I kind of one of the things I want to do here, even for my own understanding and for my own learning, is I've said in the past is like it's very easy to look at a job description and understand what the role does itself, but hearing from an individual like how everyone approaches the role is much different. So I'm
Yeah.
curious about like the group itself, your role now, and what that does. So like I don't know, someone who might not be in the industry or someone who
Yeah.
is but not in this space specifically, but it would be good to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. So, the employee listening team, or ELS, Microsoft loves, it's TLAs, three-letter acronyms. So, the employee listening system team, which they may even be named something different now, I think it's been 4 years since I've been on that team.
Okay.
But they really are trying to get super in tune with how employees are feeling and about different aspects of their role, or their experience at Microsoft is all up. So there's lots of questions in there of, like how are you, like how are you doing? How do you think your manager's doing? Like do you feel supported in XYZ? Do you think that you are, being compensated for the kind of work that you're doing, like recognized for the achievements that you're making? So a lot of those questions that kind of are trying to tap into if an
Like the
employee
pulse
is
of the culture. Yeah.
right. If they're feeling like they're thriving or if they're feeling like they're maybe not thriving. So there's a lot of really great information that's shared with managers and leaders after the survey is kind of broadly put out. They collect all the information, and then it's really cool now that they have kind of the data analysis. They have, Copilot helping with everything. I think they have like all these great ways to aggregate the information. So even if someone were to say something verbatim that be like, oh, that's Pam, she writes like that, it might not even show the verbatim like that anymore. So it would kind of personalize
Identify. Yeah, sure.
exactly the information that's given, but just so that leaders and managers can have information to change the way that they're doing things to accommodate employees and what they're feeling. There's a daily version of it, so it's sent to a random sampling of people. And then there's a broader one that's sent twice a year. It used to be once a year when I was in the team, but now it's twice a year, which is great. So there's one in the spring and there's one in the fall. And then kind of two big, initiative pushes to get people to like just say how you're doing. Like, how are you doing at the company and what do we need to change and what do we need to keep? And it also kind of highlights the things that people should be maybe focusing on, like areas of focus versus areas that you need to just kind of make sure that you're keeping top of mind, but also comparing to the whole like aggregate Microsoft. So like all of Microsoft score, all of your organizational scores, and then here's your team score. So it's a nice, it gives you kind of a nice view as to how your specific team is doing based on what you're doing as a leader or, the things that are happening in your team.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool opportunity to be formally heard.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
you're right. You get to see different groups, larger groups, comparing it to the entire company.
Right.
It gives you a good idea of if the culture is landing the way that it's intended.
And for me, like,
yeah, that's really interesting.
if there's like 5 or more people on a team, like your manager can share theirs, and then like your skip level can share theirs, and then your kind of broader org can share theirs. It just kind of rolls up too, so you can see kind of broadly, even like kind of like zooming out, if you will, what kind of things people are feeling. So yeah, I really like it.
I also like how open our leaders are too with sharing the
Yeah.
scores. So to me,
Yeah.
that's the most important because it's not like you're heard and then it just goes into the abyss. Like everybody's
Right.
very open about it. Here are the areas that we can improve. Here are the areas that we're doing well.
Right.
Does this resonate? I don't know. It's a really interesting space, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I really liked being on the team. And that's the thing, kind of, you're talking about the career changes. I'd been on the team for, I think it was a couple of years on the employee listening system team, and then I was like, I just kind of want to do something different. Like, let's just see what there is. And back when I started on the employee listening system, we also had an onboarding survey, and at that time, like 5 years ago, so it wasn't even that long ago, I manually sent them out via like a mail merge. So like things have changed since then a little bit, even on that team, but. Uh, just like catching up with the technology. I was like, okay, I'm gonna import the list from Excel, and I have my little Word document that I have to like sign out of this view and sign back into Outlook with my employee survey team. Anyway, but I had ended up just talking to a couple of people, like managers that were hiring, and there was one person specifically who was leading the manager capability team, and she just had such a joy and a spark, and just like so she just, you could tell she just cares about people. So I was really drawn to her, and it ended up just having kind of an informal meeting with her, and I was like, oh, I really want to interview for this role because I want her to be my manager. Like, she's just so phenomenal. And I think I can say her name, right? Should I say her name?
Yeah, I think, yeah, shout her out.
Her name is Stephanie Okamoto. Just such a lovely person. I think she's been on a few podcasts as well. Just a lovely human, but also very passionate, and just cares about the work and the people. In our one-on-one, she'd be like, "How are you as a person? Like, tell me that first before we have any kind of business talk. Before you tell me what the things you've done, or the things you need help with, or the blockers. How are you? How are you as a person? How is your family? How was your afternoon, like, yesterday?" Like, just like so personable, and I could just tell she like cared about me as an individual. So that was really, really important to me. So
That's great.
yeah, she kind of, I think, drew me a little bit to the role too, because it was like, oh, I want to work with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I think finding the person that you want to work for, or the people that you want to work with, is more important than the role itself, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I've had 13 managers in 9.5 years.
Wow.
So I definitely have had there's been a variety of different styles of management, and also the different, things that resonate better with me. But I think, and that's one learning too, maybe I would even tell my younger self, it would be if you can set expectations appropriately with your manager, even when you first start, of like, these are the things that I need to be successful. This is the kind of management style that really resonates with me. Like, being able to be clear about that, I think, is not something that I even knew earlier in my career. I think I kind of have learned that over my 13 managers, but really understanding like what works well for you, and maybe you just like the business and you don't want the personal touch. Maybe you want to disconnect your personal and your work life, and that's fine too. But just knowing that about yourself, I think, is really important. Just kind of checking with yourself and see what works best for you.
Yeah, that's definitely a skill that needs to be honed, because I think that's easier said than done, because a lot of times you could
totally.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But I agree with you. That's great advice. So you got ahead of me, but
apologies.
No, don't say sorry. But the namesake of this is if I knew then. So if I knew then what I know now, would I approach things differently? And so I always ask, is there one piece of advice, or in your case, if you have multiple pieces of advice, that you would either give your younger self or to someone looking to potentially follow in your footsteps?
I do have a couple. I think the first thing that, when I was reflecting on this question, was things move so quickly and things change so fast that if you can try and be present and live in the moment, that to me is super powerful. For me, for instance, in like a work setting, you are with a certain set of colleagues, and things like that change all the time, right? Like, people leave, or people go to other companies, or they even move across. I'm fortunate enough to still be connected with you, but I think that's us intentionally trying to stay connected.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's really easy for colleagues to ebb and flow, and you have kind of one moment in time that might be this same makeup of people that can be really amazing. Like, even when I worked at the lab, it was like, I remember those colleagues, and I had a lot of fun with them. am I gonna like, do I have a chance to work with them all ever again? Probably not. So, if I were able to be more present back then and like really kind of enjoy my time with those people, I think that is really powerful.
That's
I mean,
that's really good advice.
I I think same goes for personal things, right? Like people will come and go out of your lives too.
Yeah.
But that's when I was younger, I was like, oh, things are just the way that they are, and then you'll always have your friends with you, and it'll,
Yep.
you know, and that's
Did
not
you
necessarily the case. Yeah,
did you ever watch The Office?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to look this up, but do you remember the Andy Bernard quote where he basically says like, "Don't you wish that you could realize you were in the good old days before they were the good old days?"
Oh, yeah.
It's a really good, yeah.
Oh,
So
Andy, he
that
grew on me after a while. In the beginning, I was like, Andy. Then I was like, oh.
the Nard dog, yeah. But that's it's really good. It's really good advice. So I'm serious. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good sentiment to remember too. You read
Yeah.
personally and professionally.
Absolutely, because it's like you never know. Like maybe these are the good old days. I don't know. But I remember even like, oh, back in college, I'm like, oh, those are the people that I hung out with in college, and like that was a really
Hmm.
fun time. But at the time, I was like focused on the next thing. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
when I graduate, this is where I'm gonna go, and then do the things. I'm like, I didn't take the time to be like, oh gosh. Even
Yeah.
in high school, like I actually really enjoyed my high school experience. Um, I was in choir and drama and all the things and like all these clubs. And I was like, oh gosh, like my last week or so of high school, I was like, I'm not going to see a lot of these people probably ever again. Like that's just like such a big thing. So being able to just take the time and be present, I think is something that I continue to work on, but it's something that I definitely would have liked to hear as a younger person.
That's great advice. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Did you tell me? Did you tell me you had more? Yeah, go ahead.
I do. I do have
Go
just
ahead,
a
please,
couple more.
please. Yeah,
Okay.
please.
The other thing is, and this is something that I kind of learned as I went. So I think that I would still have loved to hear this, but I think the idea of being a learner mindset, like really being able to lean into new experiences. If there's other things that pop up that are options for you to explore, go do it. I say that with a little asterisk, like maybe don't like jump off a cliff or something, but I just mean like if there's something new
If that's your
or
thing, yeah.
cool, yeah,
Yeah.
be safe about it. But I think if the idea that things will pop up and opportunities will show up for you, and if you kind of gravitate toward that, maybe that's more of the follow the warmth kind of thing. But if you are able to embrace those new opportunities, it can make you it just broadens your mind and it can get you a lot of experience. There was a specific project that I did in the fall of last year, and at first I was like, oh gosh, I was voluntold to do this, and we'll see. It's like working with, it was, really quick paced, and I was like, we'll see how I can do it. I don't know if I'm like the right person for the job, but I'll lean in, and it proved to be one of those experiences that really stretched me, but I learned so much in that short amount of time that I was like, was really great. It was traumatic at the time. Don't get me wrong. I was like, oh gosh, I don't have time to sleep, but it did prove to me to be like this really great experience to help with a lot of skills that I had not had the ability or even the opportunity to stretch. So that was really helpful. I think yeah, just leaning into like a learner mentality has been really helpful.
And I
Yeah.
think just to build on that, I think
Yeah.
one thing that I learned is also being like leaning into the learner mentality, but then also feeling comfortable being in it. Like
Yeah.
I'm probably not articulating that correctly, but the thing I think of is the give experience where I
Yeah.
volunteered for that. I was only at the
Fresh out the
company
gates,
for
you're like, I'm in. We're like,
I was here
okay.
for I was here for 3 months. Yeah, and I think I volunteered like 2 months in, and
Yeah.
but almost didn't volunteer because I was so new. Like I didn't want my manager to think like, oh, I have a full-time job that I need to learn. I'm just getting
Right.
here. I need to focus on that. But then they asked for a volunteer, and I let it just sit in my inbox and stare at me every day until they sent. And I said to my wife, I'm like, I want to do this, but I don't want to come across as like too. And then they sent a follow-up and said, we still need someone. And I was like, okay, if you're okay with me doing this, I would love to throw my name
And
in
I
the
said,
ring.
excellent.
And
This is
it
the
and it went
best.
well for
I'm
me.
so
Like, and that to me,
happy.
Yeah, I know it was an awesome experience,
Good.
but
Yeah.
I completely agree with what you're saying. But there's like try making the being open to those experiences and being intentional about it, and then
Yeah.
actually being okay with like asking, or you know, the worst that they could
Well,
say is no.
yeah, and it might
Yeah,
not always end up in the way that you think it's going to end up,
exactly.
but I feel like it's still an experience. Someone on my team the other day was like, "There's no failure, there's only feedback," and I'm like, "Oh, like that is not something that I am comfortable with saying. Like that's not a tattoo I'm going to get anytime soon." But it is true.
Yeah.
Like anytime, even if something doesn't go as planned, or if it feels like a complete failure, you still learn something from it, and you
Hmm.
can change and pivot the way that you do something in the future. Um, the last thing that I wrote down when I was reflecting on things that like if I would have known then is just to have fun. I think it's really easy, especially in a corporate setting, to be like, okay, now I'm gonna type my email and I'm gonna use all the tools that I have and I'm gonna just kind of like go about my day and get things done and work a 9 to 5 and kind of just go through the motions. But I think there's also a really important opportunity for us to, as people, just have fun together and have take time out of the day just to like either laugh or share stories or just connect. So going back to even like my previous manager staff, it's like these like human connections are so important, and I think especially in like the age of AI, having those human connections still I think are just so critical. But having fun. I think we're at work so many hours of our day, like more hours than I think we're not at work or something.
Hmm.
That's what I read, or probably should know. Um, but we're at work so many hours, like for us not to have fun doesn't make any sense. It just find times to have fun if you can. If work isn't going to be a fun place for you, though, then find the balance. Find things that do bring you joy, even
Hmm.
if it's outside of work. Like make sure that you have things for yourself. So I am mom, as I alluded to, a Girl Scout leader. I'm kind of like all these different things. Let's see, I'm an empath, but I'm like I feel like I define myself in a lot of different ways, but I have an outlet of singing, and singing is kind of my passion that I do just for me. It's like this is like my one thing for me. My mother role is so large and it's so important to me, and it's like my kids are pretty young. I have again going into 4th grade and then going into 7th grade, and I just obviously I'm obsessed with my children, but but like I think
Yeah,
for
me
me
too.
right now, like motherhood is such a big part of my life, but the other thing is if you don't have time to have that fun even on your own, and are able to do that guilt free, I think then that's kind of a missed opportunity, because you do need to have that kind of your own thing too. Yeah, just have fun. Have fun with
Yeah.
the things that you do if you can. And if not, maybe you're not in the right role for you. Maybe you could like find a different opportunity that might have a little bit more fun for you, or opportunities that bring you a little bit of joy. And maybe not fun in the traditional sense. You don't have to like make jokes in every meeting, but I mean, just try and be with people that inspire you and bring you joy.
Follow your warmth.
Yeah, follow the warmth.
Yeah,
That's just
there you
the
go.
headline of this, but just follow the warmth. That's it. You don't have to do the whole podcast. Just say like Pam says, follow the warmth.
All right, thank you very much. So
Yeah.
now that we've looked back, looking forward, what's next for you? Personally, professionally, what's
Whew.
anything you're excited about?
Well, I just joined a new team called Enterprise Scaling. So that's my kind of new initiative. We're working on supporting different organizations with different skilling needs. So they're going to come to us and say, hey, our team really needs help with XYZ. And then we're going to, in kind of a pod model, kind of support them, which I'm really excited about. So right now we're kind of gearing up to start that support. That's the kind of the next in the career side. And then I also I'm still singing. So I'm in a vocal group called Emerald City Voices. We do a lot of philanthropy. We do a lot of just singing to spread joy in our community. We're an a cappella group, 12-person a cappella group, which I helped found almost 20 years ago, which
Wow.
is it's been a minute. We actually started to do a fundraiser for the Figgy Pudding Caroline competition in Seattle. That's why we started 20 years ago. So we're continuing to do that. We're releasing another album this winter, so
Very
you know,
cool.
Spotify or whatever.
I was gonna say plug it.
Yeah, I was
Where
like,
can you
I
find
think
it?
that the GarageBand is a place you can buy albums. I don't know.
Is that? I thought GarageBand is like what you use to make
Oh, I
music
don't know.
on
I
Macs.
probably should have known that before talking about it. But you can definitely find it where you
How
stream
about?
music too. So like yeah,
Okay, there you
Spotify,
go.
Amazon Music, all of those
Okay, cool.
iTunes. I think people still use that. So yeah, I'm just really excited to continue to sing and to perform music because again, that's what brings me a lot of joy. But also, you know, just going to my kids' soccer games and like supporting them. My kiddos, my daughter is a theater kid, so it's just like being there for my family but also kind of balancing everything. It's like that lovely balance of life, you know.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing and
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad we got to meet and I'm really glad that we got to stay in touch. So thank you
Thank
very
you
much, Pam.
so
I
much for
appreciate it.
having me. I appreciate it so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Anthony. Bye.